often get this question about how do we help our students elaborate on their writing and explain their reasoning and their thinking and all of that. So let's look at a couple of things here. First, I always make sure that they understand the CER system, the claim, evidence, and reasoning. And I do a hands-on project with them that they do in groups where I don't explain all of this up front. I ask them to try and construct um, where they think each part of this little essay would go so that they have to determine which sentence in this is reasoning, and their actual strips that they put together in a certain order, and then they match it up with the headline for each section of the CER. And in that, so then they kind of understand like, okay, this type of sentence is reasoning. I will give them a frame that is since this shows. Now, let me kind of explain that a little bit more. So let's say they find evidence that says that sleeping can hurt your academic performance. And so the since part, they pull their own like wording from that evidence. So since, and if it said academic performance will get lower, so since your grades might drop without much sleep, this shows that sleep is super important and you need to prioritize it or whatever. So the sense part pulls out a little section of that evidence and they explain it in their own words. It's like, well, why did you choose that evidence? Well, because well. So that kind of helps with the explaining part of it. But elaborating, the thing is that we can get a little bit stuck with, okay, I just have to write 3 sentences, right? That's all I have to do. Give me my frame and I'm out of here. But we want them thinking critically. We want them thinking deeper. And so I do kind of sandwich it with other skills that we worked on. So if they want to, if I'm ready to take a group of writers and move forward with them, I actually have them do CER, but they add a hook to the top of it. And that way it's sort of like having a topic sentence before that claim. It's like a way into it. Like, I don't have an example here in front of me, but like the lessons that I use when I teach hook of like, you're going to talk about it, but you're going to kind of keep it a secret. So they kind of get into it a little bit. Like everybody loves to sleep in on the weekends. Sleep, however, is very important for your academic future or something. So there we have the hook, and then we get into it with the claim, and then you can start in your evidence and your reasoning. And then I also teach them how to connect it back up to that first sentence about everybody loves to sleep in. So the last sentence of that paragraph might be like, so even though you love to sleep in, it might be best to, that didn't really make sense because actually sleeping is good, but you want to, but you see what I'm saying? Like it connects back up to your hook. Those two have to connect together like a little gift. Other things that I've seen is that some people have them write their main idea and then they explain in their own words what they think about that. So it's sort of like they have a claim and then they do some reasoning with it in their own words and then provide evidence and then explain that evidence even further and then wrap it up. So that's another idea. But on the other hand, like let's suppose you want your students to elaborate and expand on their writing just sort of naturally with everything they do, like their quick write and all that. You want to get into a habit throughout the year of revision is a thing that we do all the time. So at any moment when you can, just like stop everything. I want everyone to go in and I want one compound and one complex sentence in there. Go. Or I want everyone to go in and I want one simile and one hyperbole in whatever you're writing right now so that they get used to hearing you say, let's revise, let's change it, let's make it better, let's go deeper. And then like having them point out what they wrote share it in their trio, and then really celebrate that. Celebrate revision as often as you can. So when something gets stronger and better, you're like, oh my gosh, that was awesome. That's what we're looking for. That's what it is. So they get to see you light up when they do expand more. Because if it becomes more like, well, I expected you to expand, so you should have done it. Kind of have to celebrate it. You got to make a big deal of it. Writing is different from math. It has a lot to do with our self-confidence, and it's like putting yourself out there, and it's really vulnerable for a lot of kids, and it's vulnerable for adults. It was for me. So down below, I'm going to put a link to a resource that I have and a link to a blog post about constructed responses. And I have a resource that levels up your constructed response. So you'll see in there where it has the hook and then like wrapping it up like a nice package. I have that down there for you. So if you have a question that you want me to answer on this micro podcast, put it below and maybe yours will be the next one. I'll see you in the next video.